On the minutes?
Second.
All right, minutes stand without objection. Council, if you will take a look at your agenda for this evening, ordinance is on the final reading. Any comments or questions? All right. And for item B, Madam Vice Chair,
We are good.
we're good, okay? All right. Okay, ordinance is under first reading. Any comments or questions, please hit your lights. All right. Resolutions. Any comments or questions? We have council office, fire, human resources. And tonight, will we be reading the alternate version? Yes. All right. Councilman Ledford.
Madam Chair, thank you. You're moving faster than my brain can keep up, so that's on me. But I just wanted to say thank you again to Mandy and Daniel. I don't know if you're in the room for working with me. Julia, if you're here, no one's here. Take credit. There you are. There you are. I see you. Hey, good work. Thank you for listening to the concerns in the EIG, and especially section 1.4. I think we have it about as best as it's ever going to be. And knowing what the right hand and the left hand is doing when it comes to those policies that change, I think it's super important that that mechanism be in place. And I want to thank you for listening to me and putting that language in there. And I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who worked on that, Madam Chair. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, resolutions on the mayor's office, technology services. All right, council, any questions about next week's agenda? Okay, and we have one purchase this evening. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Knoll, followed by Councilman Ledford.
Okay, Madam Chair. So I'm with Councilman Ledford. You went a little fast on me. So on the human resource, D, personnel policy. Okay, so I've got some questions there.
All right, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
Yes, ma'am.
So as I was looking over that, under the 8.3,
8.3 or 8.2?
the department heads, I think it was, I don't have it directly in front of me because I left my computer, but I think it was the second paragraph down where it would allow the department heads to make a decision whether someone can keep their position or not. Am I reading that correctly? Explain that to me a little more.
I think you're looking at 8.2, the resignations.
Okay, well, maybe I was looking at the red line version of it, that it was 8.3 for me.
The only change we made there is we're asking for a resignation with 2 weeks' notice, a resignation in writing, that they will give their final date of work, and that they hopefully would give us their reason for leaving. But essentially, if they don't give a 2-week notice, they could be considered as not resigning in good standing.
Okay, so somewhere in there I read, maybe it was, I wish I had brought my computer in so I could pull it up, that the department has had the authority to decide whether or not an individual was needed, their position was needed.
It used to say that they had the option of not accepting the 2 weeks and just letting them go right then, and that's been removed.
Okay, so give me a clear definition for civil service employee. What's the definition of that?
I'm afraid that in the state of Tennessee, I might have to get back to you on that.
Okay,
I've been here 10 months. I do apologize. I came from a different state.
okay, all right. Okay, so that, because if my definition, or my understanding of it, it does not, it kind of counteracts what was in the paragraph I was speaking of, about the department heads having, because, and maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but I read it several times.
I'm not sure if I'm referring to the exact same section that you are.
Okay, so I tell you what you do. You all can go ahead on with this meeting, Madam Chair, and I'm gonna go out to my vehicle and get my computer
All right.
and pull up what I'm in referencing to.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Councilman Ledford?
Madam Chair, may I clarify if we are past proposed agenda items and are moving into purchasing?
Yes, if there are no other comments or questions at the moment.
I do have another comment for this evening.
Yes.
Information from time to time comes across our desk that could have an impact on a decision this body has made, and we are within the rights to ask for a reconsideration of something.
All right.
And I would like to advise, and in all fairness to everyone involved, and I've done this in an email as well, move this evening to reconsider a zoning case. Well, it's not a zoning case, my apologies. It's a planning case. It's not a rezoning case. 2023-0017, 1619 Gray Road. Some new information has come to my attention that I think is very important for this council to hear.
All right. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing on the special presentations this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, any additional comments or questions? We had one purchase this evening. If you would take a look at future considerations. Any comments or questions? All right, Councilman Hester, followed by Councilman Henderson.
Yes, I was very thrilled when I saw 10A, but bring me to a better understanding of 10A, please.
And 10A is Parks, Public Works, and Wastewater on the future considerations.
That is,
Parks,
let me pull it up.
a resolution for the city to apply for National Park Service African American Civil Rights Grant.
So I'll ask Scott to come up to talk about it.
All right.
Sure, and I'll plead full ignorance on a limitation on the information. Carmen Davis has identified this grant as a way to honor our historic communities in our community. It's a National Park Service grant to elevate cultural histories across the nation. I can get you more of the information. I didn't bring my folder with me for that grant request next week when we come, but a neat chance for us to do some elevation of some pretty important stories on the American landscape right here in Chattanooga. And Carmen, to her credit, identified it and is going after it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This may be a little bit not quite a question about the actual item, but in future considerations, 10B, 4 and 5, I guess, under striping, Ben may be able to answer this question. It was my understanding at one time our striping machine was down for maintenance and repairs, and I was just wondering if it was up and running again. They are? So we're in the striping business again? Okay, great. I've got some streets that need striped.
All right.
Great.
Okay, is that it, Councilman Henderson?
I'm good.
All right, thank you so much. All right, any other comments or questions for future considerations? Today we have two departmental reports. We have Economic Development Departmental Report as well as the Equity and Community Engagement Update. Bless you. Councilwoman Coonrod is absent, or she may be a little late, so we will continue on with her reports. We also have a committee report, Parks and Public Works. Following that, we do have an attorney-client meeting. So with that, if there are no other questions about our agenda, we will move into the Economic Development Departmental Report. Hello?
Thank you.
Hey, Richard.
Bringing up the PowerPoint. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about the Department of Economic Development. I'm Richard Beelan, the administrator for the department. The Department of Economic Development is made up of housing and community investment, which includes affordable housing and what used to be known as community development. It also includes workforce development, entrepreneurship, real property and brownfields, and of course, economic development in partnership with the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce and Hamilton County Government. We also provide physical support for the Office of Housing and Homeless Services. The Department of Economic Development was created to assist entrepreneurs and businesses with their business needs. Our goal is to promote economic growth and development throughout the city of Chattanooga. We help to equip the city's workforce in future economic trends, and we're here to be a resource for all types of businesses and entrepreneurial projects of various sizes and scope. You've heard a lot from Nicole, the Chief Housing Officer, about the Housing Action Plan, and I know you're going to be talking about it more in depth in a couple of weeks in strategic planning. So today we're going to focus on 3 areas in economic development: workforce development, entrepreneurship, and community investment. So first up is going to be Quentin Lawrence, our Director of Workforce Development, followed by Sarah Matson, the Director of Entrepreneurship, and then Manager of Community Investment and Housing, Sandra Gober. Okay? Quentin. Yes, sir. You ready?
All right, thanks. Good afternoon, Council. Thank you so much for this opportunity to present before you again. Back in March, I presented and gave the mission and vision back then, and as you can see, again, it has not changed. We exist, the Office of Workforce Development, to cultivate strategic partnerships and facilitate collaborative solutions that actually lead to robust workforce development pathways, skills training, and household income growth for all Chattanoogans. And with that, we envision a diverse, thriving, and resilient workforce earning a living wage and contributing to the prosperity of our great city. As you can see, the graphic hasn't changed much because it really is about the people. No matter who they are, where they come from, that's what our office is about, and giving them access to opportunity. And so just to talk about some of our activities, starting off for the fiscal year, we have started back up the Impact Program. Initially, that was under community development. It has shifted to our department. And so we have actually held 2 classes, one at the end of the last fiscal year and one starting off the new fiscal year. And it is essentially a 6 to 9 week IT training program. The individuals that go through that program get a paid stipend. They also get a Google IT certification, as well as 12 credit hours from Chattanooga State, and also employment assistance as well. The July cohort that recently graduated in August, all 10 participants graduated from that and are currently working with UNUM to see if there are opportunities there for them, as well as seeing what other IT opportunities are available. And currently, we're considering new dates and locations for additional cohorts, but the one that we held in July was actually held in Councilwoman Dotley's district at the East Lake Center. Also, too, we are partnering with the American Job Center. So the mobile American Job Center, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that, but basically it is a large vehicle that houses computers and other resources to help people to get plugged in with employment, to actually go through employment training. And so in partnering with them, we are going to provide access to the community centers throughout the fiscal year, starting with 6 centers. We actually just kicked that off on September the 18th. And so as you can see, the community centers that we're working with currently are Carver, Eastdale, Eastlake, Hickson, Shepherd, South Chattanooga, and Washington Hills. And then we're also working with some of our partners on various career and hiring events. So I'm sure most of you have heard of some of the manufacturing plant closures that have taken place. And so the American Job Center typically offers support for helping those displaced workers to find new opportunities. And so we've partnered with them to try to help provide some resources that can help them in between. I've helped them to get connected with some of the resources that our Office of Family Empowerment provides to maybe fill in some of those gaps that they may be experiencing as they transition. But also, too, we partnered with the Office of Community Health and Troy Rogers and his group again for their New Life Fair, which they held one evening in July, where we serviced over 100 individuals. And so that was pretty instrumental at the Westside Community Center. Also, too, there is another fair coming up in partnership with the state of Tennessee, as well as various other providers. where we will be serving all residents of Chattanooga and Hamilton County. There is an emphasis on supporting those from the justice involved community, but it is open to everyone, and it will be held at the Hamilton County Courthouse, and that'll be on September the 28th. And we are currently planning other industry sector focused career and hiring events, kind of like the one that we held back in March at the South Chattanooga Community Center. So we're looking again at some of those industries in the trades, but also too in manufacturing as well as in healthcare. Also too, we are about to launch an apprenticeship readiness program. Council a couple of weeks back approved the issuing of an RFP in this, and this is actually part of two larger initiatives, one being the Infrastructure Talent Pipeline Challenge, which was announced last year by the White House to try to get more diverse talent into the building trades, but also too, this is also fulfilling part of a project that the city has been involved in almost 20 months now with the National League of Cities as well as the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, called the Southern Cities Economic Inclusion Initiative. And it really is focused on trying to create more equitable pathways to prosperity for communities of color. And so with this apprenticeship readiness program, its focus is on trying to get more individuals into registered building trades apprenticeships, but taking that initial step by getting them into a pre-apprenticeship program that prepares them so that they can actually stay in those programs and complete them successfully. And so, again, it is in partnership with the building trades. It is focused on BIPOC community, women, justice involved, and individuals at or below 200% of the federal poverty level. And the RFP is scheduled to close on the 11th, and we hope to have selected a service provider sometime in November, hopefully by early or mid-November. Second opportunity is with the Good Jobs, Great Cities Academy. This is a partnership with the Department of Labor and the National League of Cities. Again, focus on trying to get individuals into more of our infrastructure jobs. It is steeped in two core principles. First, these opportunities lead into good quality jobs that are paying a living wage, but also it's centered in equity. Again, making sure that underserved, traditionally underrepresented communities are able to get equitable access. And so the design of the project is first to engage a specific infrastructure, clean energy or advanced manufacturing sector. And of course, clean energy is underlined because that's where we decided to focus in at, given the fact that there is so much activity around the EV sector, especially with EV battery production. We felt that that was the best place to land our hat. And given the fact that there is so much that is going on the west side, where one of our main partners in that, and we'll talk about a little bit later, Novonix is already positioned over there, it just seemed like a natural fit. But also, too, we want to make sure that we're implementing evidence-based workforce strategies that lead to good jobs. And so we have two additional partners that already have established apprenticeship programs that can be used as a model to help with that. Also, too, another focus is on building care infrastructure that supports good jobs. So when we talk about care infrastructure, we're talking about whether it's child care, mental health care, things of that nature that are really going to be key to the resiliency of people in the workforce. And then finally, the final piece in that initiative design that's embedded in this academy is to prioritize and serve a target population or populations and communities. And so for this project, it is focused on communities of color, women, and the justice involved community. And again, because of our partners, as you can see, Novonix, Tennessee Valley Authority, and EPB, with those being our core employment partners, we are focusing in on residents that are in the West Side community to help with those efforts, especially with the development that's coming there, but it will still be impactful and available to others within the city. But our other partners in that effort are the Urban League, Chattanooga State, UTC's CPE program, which is their professional education program, and the Southeast Tennessee Development District. And then lastly, with opportunities, what we're looking to do is to create more opportunities for collaboration internally and externally. So right now, we are in the process of trying to create a workforce development council internally across departments. Again, it is interdepartmental with leaders and practitioners, and we are aiming to support economic resiliency of our constituents that are receiving social services and supports through the city. We want to make sure that not only are we giving people resources to help them in those times where they may be struggling, but we also want to equip, empower them for the long haul also. And then we also want this group to help create strategies and solutions to meet the unique employment needs of constituents. And also, too, we are looking to put together a workforce development alliance, an external group of industry partners, educational institutions, and community-based organizations. This is something that the Workforce Development Department had done before. Of course, due to the pandemic, some of those efforts were halted, but we're picking those things back up and having some great conversations to see how we can provide some solutions within the communities that most need our assistance. And that ties back into the last point, which I mentioned back in March about our approach to develop talent development hubs in our community centers. Again, the focus is making sure that those communities that are most in need have access where they are to these resources. And so we want to provide not only workforce development resources, but the key is consistent workforce development resources in underserved communities. And so we want to make sure that we're leveraging our community centers as public spaces to bring employers, community organizations, and community members together to engage in employment training and employment opportunities. Thank you very much.
All right, Councilwoman Burrs.
Quentin,
I'm sorry.
two things.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I know you're really working really closely with the Mayor's Council for Women
Yes.
on pay equity, and the other one is age discrimination.
Yes, we talked about it. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm looking at this picture. That's the subliminal message that maybe we're not working with people who might look like me. And I think that's a bad message because that's not what we're trying to do. So you're doing great work, but it's these subliminal things that get the message that make people embarrassed to apply for work. We've discussed all
Right,
that.
we have.
So if you could please correct that.
It will definitely be a rotating picture.
Thank you.
I think that's the one that we provided before, but as you know, certainly we will be working together. And I did actually read through the working paper, I believe that you all produced back in 2016, very fascinating about the wage disparities. And I believe
Yeah.
right now, women are making about 84 cents on the dollar that men are making.
Yes.
And so certainly want to keep those conversations going, but I will make sure to rotate the pictures
Yeah,
up.
the age thing has really come forward, and it's not old people.
That's
It's people who have had to take a time out to take care of parents.
That's right.
And very often, as you know, we say somebody's overqualified. I don't know what in the world that means. Does that mean that you might have to pay me more, or the insurance might go higher, or I might be more intelligent? That's not a basis, and we're having a lot of really good people who are left out, men and women, actually, as you and I have discussed, because whoever looks at them and looks at the ways we discriminate. I think you were at the meeting the other day
That's right.
with Deb, and it was a great meeting. I don't think we're intentionally doing it, but unintentional can send a bad message sometimes. So thank you very much, and thank for this great report.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Quentin? All right, doing a great job. We appreciate you. Thank you. All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Matson, Director of Entrepreneurship. So in my role, I've been in this position for a few months now. My primary focus has been to work to amplify and the great resources that we already have in our community for entrepreneurs and all the organizations and the great work that they're doing. So today I'm going to talk about some of the efforts I've been really focusing on for the most part, and I'll just jump right into it. So one thing I've been working to do is forming a business resource collective, and this is a collective of all the organizations and supporters of in the Chattanooga area that do work and provide technical assistance and alternative lending to small businesses. And so we launched that actually last week on Tuesday. We had our first collective meeting. And these are all the organizations so far that participate in our meetings and have come together to form this collective. And the idea of the collective is to have more regular meetings amongst each other so that we can learn what all the organizations are doing. Our last meeting was at Proof Incubator, where we learned about all the work they're doing with their restaurant recovery program and other things they're doing in the Chattanooga area. And we will rotate to different organizations to learn about what projects we have going on so that we all can help promote each other's events and programs that they have going on. And also just to network amongst ourselves, share events, news, and collaborate. But more importantly, to be able to work on community-wide entrepreneurship events. Some of you may remember Startup Week, so working collectively to have these like community events and work, make them bigger and better when we all work together. And also produce some project-specific working groups out of this collective. For example, we will be forming a food and beverage working group, and that's folks who are in the collective who have a specific focus on food and beverage, and they can kind of get together and work on some specific initiatives in that area. We also have a website that's being launched in probably the next month, and this was actually in a partnership with the Enterprise Center. They had received a grant to create what's called an ecosystem mapping website. So there's already some other great websites out there. The Chamber has a starting block and Enterprise Center has resiliency checklist. But this will serve as kind of a matchmaking service so entrepreneurs can easily have access to resources and know what's available in the Chattanooga area. So the idea is we have a really great, strong entrepreneurship ecosystem in Chattanooga, but I want to make sure everyone on the outside sees that and has access to that ecosystem. Another initiative that I'm working on is called the Tennessee Smart Start. Some of you may have heard about this. This is an initiative done by the State of Tennessee Economic and Community Development Department. And they provide these like actual physical guides to help a business owner start their business, from planning, business plan, all the way through access to resources, financial planning. And it actually has a list of all the resources in Chattanooga. Chattanooga historically has not been designated as a Tennessee Smart Start community. You have to go through a little bit of a training process where someone from the state comes to Chattanooga and provides training to community partners so that we can be designated. And that way, when folks are researching how to start a business in Tennessee, Chattanooga will show up on that list of Smart Start communities. And these are the organizations that we're going to be inviting to the training, which will be October 26th at the Downtown Library. All the entrepreneurship organizations, we all know what we do. We know what resources are out there. But then we try to think beyond that. So we're inviting librarians, the clerk, community center employees, neighborhood services. I would love for you all from council to join us, faith communities, lenders, and everyone who comes to this training will learn how best to direct entrepreneurs to the right resources. So I'm sure you all encounter business owners frequently who are like, I don't know where to get help for this or that. This training will provide a toolkit for you to know where to send people. And furthermore, it would allow us to have like a physical display that we can disperse throughout the city in community centers and libraries and churches so that entrepreneurs always have access to these resources. Another thing we're working to do is quarterly entrepreneurship fairs. We're still in the planning stage for the first one, but we're looking at doing that on November 14th at rotating community centers. I'm still working with the community center department to determine where the first one will be. But this will be just like any other fair we have, like with housing or procurement, but this will be all the entrepreneurship organizations, lenders, CPAs, attorneys. They can get a professional headshot, and it would just be a place for entrepreneurs to come and meet all these resources face to face. Having worked in the ecosystem for quite a while, I know a lot of folks really feel intimidated sometimes to approach Urban League or Small Business Development Center. So they can come to the fairs and meet everyone in one place and start to build those relationships and see all the resources that are available to them. And the entrepreneurship fairs are sponsored by Pathway Lending and the Business Resource Collective. And Quentin alluded to our involvement in the Southern Cities Economic Inclusion Initiative, so this is something I'm involved with as well. We have narrowed our project focus to working on developing pathways for minority business owners to get their general contracting license. There's a lot of folks out there working as subcontractors who have the skill to be a general contractor, but they have some barriers to getting that license, and that includes funding, technical assistance. You have to have your accounting in order and have a CPA sign off on a form. So we are working and developing some technical assistance programs for these potential general contractors and providing some funding to help them get that first amount that they need, the letter of credit that they need to be able to get their GC license. And lastly, I am in the final stages of developing the storefront improvement fund. You may all remember, or may not remember, the Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund that was launched several years ago, and that was kind of reinvented into COVID mitigation. Well, we're redefining this a little bit and going to really put a focus on facade improvement throughout the city, so that folks can really have the funds they need to beautify their spaces. Because having worked with entrepreneurs, it's incredibly expensive to operate a retail location. Rent's very high, the profit margins are very low, and oftentimes the beautification of their space is the last thing that they're going to spend their money on. So I think it's for the betterment of the people of Chattanooga and the business owners if Chattanooga can help support them by providing some funds to help support their storefront improvements. And that's all for me.
All right, yeah. Any questions? Oh, Councilman Henderson?
Thank you, ma'am. Going back to the slide, the SCEI, about the general
Yes, sir.
contractor's license. Have y'all talked to Leslie Gower at AGC about maybe setting up shop at the trade school?
Yes, they're one of the partners. We're still in the very early stages of building this out, but they are one of the people we were wanting to bring in to help with the technical assistance piece, and also helping to find potential the subcontractors to participate in the program.
Because early in, when we were talking about and getting it set up, we talked about having maybe offices there, even having a mailbox for someone, because you need obviously you need a mailbox, you need an office, you need somebody to be able to do a little bit of secretarial work, and a lot of that stuff is really hard to get going to try to get something off the ground, but I think that would be a great catalyst in the
Yeah,
incubator.
yeah, that's a great
Something
idea.
like this. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Councilman Henderson. Councilman Ledford?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can we go forward one slide, please? Thank you. Can you elaborate on the storefront improvement fund as far as what it will cover? I've been in this situation with previous buildings and businesses, and they can be very useful. They can also be very restricting on what you can use it for. Can you
Yeah.
expand on that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So I primarily want to focus on exterior only, so exterior improvements. It will be a one-to-one match. So if the business owner puts $25,000 towards it, the city will contribute $25,000. So some of the interior renovations could qualify as part of that match, but the grant fund should just be for exterior use only. And really just anything, I do have it spelled out more in the working document that I have, but doors, windows. Well, maybe it'll be helpful to say what it won't include.
And I'm okay to read all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And I
I'm
can
just
send
curious, is there a limit? You said 25,000, the grants that I'm familiar with back in, a while back, was, I think, a cap at like 10 or 15,000. Is this an unlimited match?
No, the match is up to 25,000.
25 is the limit?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And
But,
that's yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, the exclusions would be like no HVAC or repairs and maintenance type costs. It would be more just for like beautification projects.
Okay. Interesting, all right. And I will take a look at your document.
Okay,
I
great. I'll
promise.
be happy to
Yeah,
send
thank
that
you.
over.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilman Ledford. Okay, Councilman Hester.
I guess in the age post-COVID, where people don't want to work, don't want to get involved, how do you get people enthused to become entrepreneurs? Just want to, how do you get them out there? Because there's a lot of places that are going out of business because of, they can't go get folks to work.
Oh, to find employees to work?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely working with my colleagues who work in workforce development to help with that effort and providing technical assistance training to the business owner to know how to be an employer and to get that manager type training that they need. And just really tapping into, it all comes down to training, in my opinion, because that's my background is working in technical assistance, but teaching them how to come up with creative ways to be an employer and incentivize their employees.
So what type of advertising can you do? What type of, are you gonna go to the media or what? How you gonna get people out?
Are you talking about what a business owner should do to attract employees?
As far as the events you plan on
Oh.
holding.
Yeah, like the entrepreneurship fair?
Right.
Yes, sir, yeah, I'm gonna do a whole marketing plan for that, and that's the beauty of the Resource Collective. Now we have almost 30 organizations, so now we can all massively spread the information in a much more impactful way, instead of like one organization just sharing their event. They only have so much reach. Some entrepreneurs follow Launch Chattanooga, but other ones may not. They follow some other organizations. So if we all jointly share this information, I think it'll have a bigger impact.
Thank
And
you.
press releases and all that stuff.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Councilman Hester. All right, that's it, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And just a quick question, how many more people y'all got up? It's just,
I'm the last one.
all right, thank you. I just need to.
I saved the best for last.
Of course, yes.
Good afternoon. Sandra Gober. I'm going to kind of give you an overview of the housing and community investment, what we do, and also talk about the progress that we've made in the most current fiscal year. As Richard said, we were formerly the Community Development Division, and now we're the Housing and Community Investment. And we are charged with managing the federal entitlement dollars that the city of Chattanooga receives, along with other state and special funding, primarily to address economic, affordable housing and economic development, community development, in primarily to benefit low and moderate income residents. Utilizing the funding that the city of Chattanooga receives, we're charged with ensuring that we align the funding to address community and housing needs. And part of our process is we develop a 5-year roadmap, and we align the funding throughout that period to coincide with the identified needs in the community. So based on the community needs analysis, we prioritize the utilization of the funds accordingly. And of course, affordable housing always comes out as the #1 top priority. Every year, we are required to report back to the community the progress that we've made in the utilization of the funding. Part of that, as a result of that, we create what we call a consolidated annual performance evaluation review report. And we prepare that, make that information available to the public. We also hold a public meeting, and last week, we held a public meeting at the Chattanooga Housing Authority's Center, and we made this information available to the public. And what we articulate is what we have available as we're going into the fiscal year to address those priorities and goals that have been established. and and just kind of give an overview of the outcomes. Going into 2022, we had approximately $17 million, and that funding is made up of funds that the city would have received in the most recent fiscal year, but also funding that we have committed to projects that are somewhat underway or projects that we do have available to commit. The 17 million, that is probably the most we've had in a very long time because it's made up of some special funding, which is the COVID funding, funding for addressing homelessness, as well as special funding to assist with rent utility assistance payments. So this is just a little chart to show how the funding sort of aligned with expenditures. And as you can see, 60% almost of the funding was utilized or expended to address affordable housing. And the affordable housing, that's ranging from rental housing, providing funding for home improvements, and also for rental improvements and homeowner improvements. The public infrastructure, we provide CDBG funding to approximately $200,000 a year for sidewalk improvements in low and moderate income census tracts. We also, under the blight clearance and demolition, we allocate a little bit of CDBG funding for the demolition of substandard structures in low-income census tracts. Public service, that's primarily partnering with organizations to provide public services for individuals, families struggling with homelessness issues. The economic development, that category is really to retire. A number of years ago, the city of Chattanooga utilized CDBG funding to establish a revolving loan fund, and that 316 is retiring the debt. So some of the highlights regarding outcomes for the 22-23 fiscal year. Utilizing the CDBG and some state funding, we were able to assist 1,200 families or people through the homeless and supportive housing division. In utilizing the CDBG and the home funds, we are tasked with ensuring that at least with CDBG, at least 70% of the funds are utilized to benefit low-income families, and historically, we have always utilized 100% of the funds to benefit low-income families. With the funding that we had available, we were, you can see, able to assist with 184 units of affordable housing. Again, that's rental and homeowner housing preservation, and that ranges from the minor repair, roofs, even to substantial rehabs. And we work with Habitat, Chattanooga Neighborhood Enterprise, and we also have a program internally that through which we carry out these activities. These are just some more highlights. In addition to the CDBG home federal entitlement dollars, we also assist with managing the city's affordable housing fund. And through that fund, we provided this award to C&E for the development of a rental project on ML King. Habitat, they are really utilizing the affordable housing funds as well as some of our home funds for the construction of about 15 homes out in the Alton Park, villages at Alton Park. One of the other highlights is utilizing the pilot program, and through that program, 142 units of rental housing was completed. That project was completed in June. It was formerly Battery Heights Apartments. And I'm just going to kind of hit the highlights and not hit every single one of these. We also utilize the CDBG in partnership with the Public Works for the Sewer Lateral Assistance Program. We use CDBG to assist the families who do not have the wherewithal to pay for that connection themselves. And I talked about the demolitions. We utilize, partner with code enforcement, and they utilize CDBG to demolish substandard and blighted units. In carrying out the activities, these are some of the organizations and partners that we work with to utilize the funds to achieve those outcomes that I just talked about. And of course, this is again for the 22-23 fiscal year. And the anticipation is, of course, we heard a lot about the Affordable Housing Action Plan, and the intention is to align what we do with the Affordable Housing Action Plan and making the utilization of the funding even more effective, I think, in carrying out the activities broader and probably much more highly leveraged, using the $30 million that's available under the Affordable Housing Plan and a fund. And that's all that I have.
All right, thank you so much. Madam Vice Chair?
Thank you. I appreciate this overview, and I appreciate the work that you do. Quick question about this consolidated plan partners. You list private developers. How many private developers is the city of Chattanooga working with right now to develop affordable housing?
It really varies when we're talking about the pilot program, that is solely working with for-profit developers. When we're talking about the Chattanooga Affordable Housing Fund, that's private developers. We have not, in the last 2 years, 3 years, had a project with a private developer. That the most recent is with Chattanooga Neighborhood Enterprise for development on ML King. With the smaller projects or programs, we have a landlord rental repair program, a rapid rental repair program. Under the rapid rental repair program, we make $4,900 available to developers, property owners, and we renovated 44 units. So it really varies from what I would say from year to year.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
All right, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. All right, Ms. Sandra, I don't see any other lights. All right, thank you. Oh, you had more, did you?
Excuse me?
Did you have more slides?
No,
That was
that's it.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I wish. All right. Now, come on, Tony. It's time for equity and community engagement. Yo. Yes. All right.
All right, good afternoon, members of council. Thank you so much for allowing us to come before you and bring updates on what the Department of Equity and Community Engagement has been taking part in. First and foremost, we aim to be a catalyst in our city and community, driving positive change by promoting equity, diversity, inclusion, belonging, and justice. Through education, outreach, and advocacy, we strive to empower every member of our community to contribute their unique perspectives and talents, ensuring that no voice is left unheard. I'm going to share with you our current org structure. The department has slightly been restructured from last year. As a part of equity and community engagement, we have the Office of New Americans, and I would like my team members to stand, and you will hear from our leadership team in their respective areas. For the Office of New Americans, we have Ms. Kelly Valcarce, who is the director, and Director of Community Engagement is Shadrina Booker. Our Neighborhood Services Manager is Perrin Lance, and Vanessa Jackson is our Program Specialist, and each will come before you and share you updates on their areas. Also with us, I'll ask them to stand as well as the remaining team of Neighborhood Services. There are Neighborhood Relations Specialists and Program Specialists. We have Ms. Karen Clay, Adriana Moore, Sarah Baristecki, and Stephen Lamb. Each of them worked diligently in the council districts in providing support and engagement with existing neighborhood associations and the development of new and upcoming associations as well. You may have noticed in that structure, I did not name our supplier diversity director. Previously, Karen Collins served in that capacity, and she's no longer with us. And so we will be seeking to fill that role. But in our supplier diversity, we have worked in trying to address several of the recommendations that was provided to us from our disparity study. And some of the areas that we have found successes in, of course, is the creation of our department, as well as having a chief equity officer and a director of supplier diversity, which was listed in those recommendations. The creation of an MWOBE program and some contract forecasting, coordinated vendor outreach through some of our events, like our minority business workshops and roundtables, and reciprocal certification. And now I'll have Ms. Vanessa Jackson come up and share with you some of the programs and outreach that we have participated in this year.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm Vanessa Jackson. Thank you all for giving me an opportunity to talk a little bit about the programs and outreach of our department. I want to talk about some of the goals that have been accomplished under the work of community programs and outreach for this year. And first of all, we have worked with our supplier diversity director and initiatives to increase the number of registered minority-owned businesses to 146 new businesses created. We've also increased the number of city-certified MWOBEs, that stands for, of course, our Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprise, to 55 for the year. And we know that those are our city internal certifications. That is, these are businesses that have not only registered with the city, they have certified as minority businesses with the city, and it's part of our third-party certification that's free to them and used as a way to help them to become vetted as a official minority business and helps them as they go out into the community and seek other opportunities to do businesses with other entities within the city that require certification. So this is a great tool for our businesses because many of these, of the certifications that are third-party and that are offered require very stringent criteria that businesses have to meet. They have to pay in order to receive the certification. They have to be at a level to where they have their business that is to be registered and also to be able to demonstrate financially their capacity. So our certification is a good starting point for businesses to be able to establish themselves in that way, and we work with them to make sure that they have all of the supportive documents needed so that they can become certified and then be able to use that certification to then expand and do businesses with other entities, maybe like EPB or Volkswagen or TDOT. So we are proud that our certification program is growing. In addition to that, we held 9 minority business roundtables this year. Our minority business roundtables have become a very popular mainstay within our department. We hold them from February through October of each year. They are held monthly on the fourth Monday of each month, and minority businesses, entrepreneurs, new businesses, the full gamut. They can come in and register to be a part of these roundtables. They get a chance to have opportunities to network with businesses within the city, to meet city officials, to work with us, and more importantly, to be introduced to resources and information that exist for the city to help support small, minority, and growing businesses. We use, I guess, the topic or the title as Startup, Stay Up, Scale Up in order to identify our program. And that is just what it does. It provides businesses, regardless of what level they're at, they may be at the startup level and have, in questions about how do I begin? How do I apply for a business license? I mean, who do I go to try to determine how I want to structure my business? They could be at the stay-up level where they've accomplished those things, but they need to know more about how to get funding, how to do business, how to build a banking relationships. And then there are businesses that are beyond even that level that they want to scale up. They want to look into different markets. They want to look into different products. They want to know about different opportunities that can grow their businesses. And so within that MBR, we try to encompass resources, speakers, topics, and events that cover that full gamut. And that is held monthly. We've held 9 of them this year, and so far we've had a total of 435 total attendees, and we are very impressed with that. We've also had our spring and summer cohorts of our ECE internship. Many of you have benefited from the internship yourselves in terms of having an intern assigned to you or working with the intern in some capacity. The program was started back in 2013, and before the pandemic, we'd seen upwards of nearly 600 students, college students, come through the program. Naturally, with the onset of COVID, we had to suspend the program for a period of time, but since 2020, we have had about 64 students to come through the program, and 22 of which that came through this fiscal year. So we are very excited about the program, and the 2 cohorts that we had for spring and summer did some very fruitful work for the city. In addition to the work that they do and the assignments to various departments within city government, we also provide them with professional development experiences, because our goal is, really not to just give them busy work, but to give them an opportunity to see the best of what Chattanooga has to offer, employment-wise as well as culturally, and to give them an opportunity to see what it's like to work for city government, and perhaps help them in their journey to choose where their first step or where their career will pan out and be played out. We also have given continued programmatic support to our Mayor's Council on Livability and Aging, and the Mayor's Council on Disability. And those are two councils that I personally serve as the liaisons for. Our seniors and our older adults in our city, they want to be heard, and they want to feel as if they are part of the Chattanooga plan, and we work with them in such a way so to make sure that they know full well that they are, and that they can use their voices in collective ways to be able to speak for the needs and the issues of their respective community. And the same is the case with our disabled community. They do have monthly meetings. I serve as a staff liaison for those monthly council meetings, and we have several additional meetings as needed throughout the month to deal with a variety of their concerns and interests around city services, around city programs, and just the needs that they see within their communities. We were pleased on this year that the mayor gave us the designation during the month of August as Older Americans Month. And this was our first, designated Older American Month in the city of Chattanooga. And so during the month of August, the Mayor's Council on Livability and Aging had 4 big events to include a conference for seniors. They had a play that was directed by a member of the arts community in collaboration with several arts organizations in town that featured the senior voices of our community. And that play is ran twice within the 2-month period. And they also reached out to different community partners and garnered the support of Medicare Misty to hold a senior cruise. And then lastly, they had an event that featured aging well and still grooving to be able to highlight the importance of seniors being able to recreate, use our recreation centers, use our places of enjoyment in our cities, and just to highlight the fact that they are still thriving and an active part of our community and our city. So as far as goals going forward, in my role as program specialist, I work to support the overall programming of all divisions of our department. So as you hear about some of the things that the directors and the other members of our department have planned, my job is to, in many ways, provide the programmatic thrust and support to those efforts as needed. But one additional aspect of my work in terms of a goal for this year will be to launch the employee resource groups to the city of Chattanooga. And employee resource groups, you all may be familiar with them, but they have become very prevalent in our workforce. And they were started back in the 60s at Xerox, to be quite frank, as a way to engage and give a release and an outlet for African-American employees that were dealing with a lot of things in the workforce in terms of civil rights and some concerns at that time. And over, the next 50 years, they've grown in popularity, and most organizations, be it government, be it public or private, nonprofit, have instituted some type of employee resource group to give employees that support and identity and foster diversity and inclusion amongst employees. And we know that people who feel as though they're connected and they're valued, they can produce more and connect more and be successful in their respective workplaces. So this year, our department is pleased that we're going to announce to launch our first ERG group, which is going to be the LGBTQIA group. So we're looking forward to working on that and then begin our efforts in terms of reaching out to people who want to be champions for this group and leaning into organizations and employers within the city who have already started these groups. And I guess back to the internship program. We are really proud of this group. Our mayor has expressed his pleasure and our internship program. And so we really want to strengthen and retool this program so that we can really grow it, so that we can receive more funding to support it. As you know, our interns are paid. We pay them for their service. Those interns that serve during the fall and the spring are paid for $15 an hour. And they work for 15 hours a week, and our summer interns work for 40 hours a week. So we want to see more students come through this program. So we're going to focus on intake process, whereas we will work more with our the vendor that has been selected to provide the intake and do all the processing of the interns in terms of their application process, to make that a little bit more streamlined and user-friendly for the interns as well as for us as city staff. We want to work more with colleges and universities within our vicinity, UTC, Covenant, Chattanooga State, Southern, to take advantage of opportunities to market and recruit our program to these schools and to the respective programs. And we also just want to expand the program. Eventually, we would like to expand our internship such that we include not only student groups, but senior groups, seniors that would like to come and work for city government, that they still have, great skills that could be deployed and used within our government, as well as our disabled population. Before COVID, we had started a program or a relationship with Orange Grove, where we had some interns to come over and work with us. And we'd like to be able to do that again, but in a more amplified way. And so we're looking forward to expanding our program to that end. And then lastly, and I've already mentioned this, but we do want to work to amplify the visibility and outreach of our Mayor's Council on Livability and our Mayor's Council on Disability and the groups that they represent. They want to be better connected to government. They want us to know that they have a voice and that their voice matters. And we're wanting to do everything that we can in order to do just that and have it demonstrated through our programs and outreach and what we're doing to serve these individuals, our constituents within the community. That is my presentation, and do you all have any questions for me?
All right, I don't see any lights, but I do want to thank you for your work. I had a great intern this summer, and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you for that. And also looking forward to some of the work you're doing, especially with some of our seniors.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank those of you who have taken the time out to come and meet with the interns because they really enjoy, when I read the comments, a lot of the comments are that they enjoyed most and got so much value out of the time that they spent with city council and just getting to know what you do and the fact that you took time out of your busy schedules to share with them. It means so much, and it means a lot to me in my work. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And if you have no more questions of me, then I'll relinquish this podium and give my next colleague the opportunity. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Shadrina Booker. I'm our Director of Community Engagement. And so I will give you all a quick, I'm sure you all are ready to get up and move, so I will not take too much of your time. Just wanted to talk about some of the accomplishments and key goals in my specific area, all of which are geared towards making our community a better and more equitable place for all of its residents. So first, we've made significant strides by developing a comprehensive community engagement and equity strategy. We plan to use this as a framework and a guiding light for our collective efforts to ensure that every voice is heard and every individual is included in the decision-making processes that shape our city. We believe that true progress, can only be achieved when we work together. And this is a strategy, and this strategy is a testament to our commitment to unity and equity. In addition to this, I've continued to build trusted strategic partnerships, both within our city with some of our council members, and specific with the Mayor's Council for Women. Hopefully, Dr. Burrs agrees that I've tried to hopefully build that partnership. These partnerships are the foundation to building bridges of understanding and collaboration, and we'll continue to do so. Some of the key goals, my colleagues have talked about SCEI twice already, so you all can see that this is a mainstay and a key goal in a lot of our areas. So like they mentioned, we are a part of the Deepening the Bench cohort through the Southern Cities Economic Inclusion work with the National League of Cities. Chattanooga is one of 16 cities in this cohort, and the project is centered around diminishing barriers for minority contractors and in turn, increasing our efforts around inclusive procurement practices. We are also partnering with the Office of Performance Management and Open Data to begin capturing engagement metrics and to hopefully create a shared comprehensive calendar. We've seen this as an issue internally, and we believe that it can be a great solution externally to have a real comprehensive calendar on what is going on within the city, but also what is going on in our community. We find that a lot of times groups or individuals want to host events and they are seeking very similar audiences, and those events may happen on the same day and they're competing against each other. And we think an easy, not easy, I'm sure it'll be a large task to take on, but a solution to that can be to have one central location to house all of this information. So trying to bring in different departments to see how we can make that work, and we'll work with other nonprofit organizations and other groups and individuals that have that desired outcome as well. Our department also is proud to lead the Mayor's Youth Council this year. So the Mayor's Youth Council this year is comprised of 42 exceptional students from various backgrounds. We have students from 11 public high schools, 6 private schools, and even a homeschooled student this year. These young leaders definitely represent the future of our city, and through their engagement and initiatives, we aim to empower them to become active participants in shaping what is to come for our future. So we are continuing to try to create a city where every voice is heard, every opportunity is accessible, and every individual thrives. Any questions? I told you I would make that quick.
Well, thank you, Shadrina. Nope, I don't see any questions.
All
Thank
right,
you for
sounds
your
good.
work.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Mhm. Right. Now, how many of you all is it? Is it 3, 4? You know?
All right, hello, good afternoon, thank you for having us. I'm Kelly Valcarce, I'm now the Director of the Office of New Americans. It is a new office here with the city, so we've just opened this office and excited to get to work to support and uplift our immigrant communities within the city of Chattanooga. One of the first things I have requested is a Google Translate button on the top of our Chattanooga.gov website to make our website accessible in 90 languages. Similar to that of many other city governments, just to make sure that the language is not a barrier when accessing our city website. We also have began establishing relationships with key stakeholders in Chattanooga, already doing the important work of immigrant services. So we've worked already with local nonprofits, community organizations, and educational institutions toward addressing the unique needs of our immigrant communities. We're also going to be participating in and attending the naturalization ceremonies at our courts. We have 2 coming up this week, so we get to watch 100 new people become Americans. And if you've never seen one of those ceremonies, they are just thrilling. They are so, so wonderful, and makes you so grateful for everything we have. Some of our key goals are to determine and problem solve around major gaps in immigrant services in Chattanooga. As I've been meeting with all of these organizations, each one has unique issues that they've identified, and so trying to problem solve around those. We will also be working to enhance language inclusivity. I have a bunch of meetings scheduled for problem solving around that to become more language inclusive in our city services, and also facilitating information flow between these different organizations, all of which are doing great work, but resources could definitely be shared and made more available, and the information be made available to our immigrant population in a more systemic manner. So it is our goal to help our immigrants kind of live their highest civic potential and really empower them. So that is all. I'm 3 weeks into my job, so I'm very short today. So go ahead.
Madam Vice Chair.
Any questions?
Very quick question. Tell us what languages you speak.
I speak English, Spanish, and a little bit of French.
Cool, thanks.
All right. That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you all, council. It's great to be working for the city. My name is Perrin Lance, and I am the manager of Neighborhood Services. Neighborhood Services is a division that's been around for a long time. It used to be in community development, but right now we are with our friends in equity and community engagement. But our mission is still the same. Our mission is to empower Chattanooga's neighborhoods. We see a city that is composed of healthy and thriving neighborhoods that are practicing local democracy and that are really places that can be the core of civic life in our town. I wanted to highlight a couple of accomplishments and some key goals that have been accomplished by our team. Back in the most recent fiscal year, the team, which they are right over there, and they have stayed the entire time. That is fantastic. They actually achieved the most recent fiscal year's goal twice. So our initial goal of establishing an increase of 25% of neighborhood associations, they blew past that. So they're a fantastic team that are working to increase the number of neighborhood associations back to heights that we hadn't seen in quite a while. So our most recent accomplishment is reestablishing the level of neighborhood associations back to pre-COVID numbers. So back in the past, several years ago, neighborhood associations used to be at a level of about 135, 150, with a lot of aging and a lot of change in the city. Plus with COVID, it brought that number down to 52. And in the past months and year since I've been on, the team has been working to bring that number up. And we currently have 85 registered neighborhood associations with us. Our current goal is to get neighborhood associations by June 30 to 100. But the way that we are working and the way that we are getting the response from the community, it's a great response. We think that we will hit that goal by December 1st and get to 130 by June 30th. So we're setting our sights high. We're getting great responses from the people. We're very happy with it. There's three things that we do at Neighborhood Services. We initiate neighborhood associations, we support neighborhood associations, and we connect neighborhood associations. And so that's how I'll talk about the rest of my goals. We want to raise the number of neighborhood associations, but we want to be specific and intelligent and strategic about where we do it. Again, there's 85 registered neighborhood associations all across the city, but they're not distributed equally. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 don't have many neighborhood associations registered with us at all. And I think that's a function of two things. I think it's a function of geography. Oftentimes in more suburban districts, the geography impedes sort of natural getting together. It's not as easy to get together, and your city isn't divided into blocks and so on and so forth. But then two, we just haven't focused on it. So we're really focusing on increasing neighborhood associations in those districts. And that's not saying that we're not paying attention to 5 through 9. We very much are. We're working to support them, which would be the next goal. So we are working to reestablish the grant making and the leadership development programs. We are going to be having our neighborhood grant program. It's going to open October 16th, this upcoming October. And we're going to be taking grants from registered neighborhood associations here at the city. So if you have HOAs or neighborhood groups out there that aren't registered yet, bring them to my office, neighborhoods@chattanooga.gov, and let's get them registered so they can compete and collaborate for a grant. We're going to be doing all kinds of grants: sign toppers, engagement accelerators, beautification, history. We just want people participating in that. And we are also working on leadership development programs. We have done this in the past, and it was very successful. It's been done for many years across many administrations, and we just want to revamp that and get that going in spring of 2024, with an emphasis on finding new leaders out there in the community. Our community leaders that we have of the neighborhood associations oftentimes sit on their church boards and nonprofit boards with the city, and oftentimes they can get tapped out. And that can actually lead to a decrease in the number of neighborhood associations. Not something that we want. So we want to activate and energize new individuals, new Chattanoogans to take ownership of their communities. And then finally, we want to connect more neighborhood associations with each other. One of our interns from the internship program through ECE interviewed 30 neighborhood associations about what we as an office could be doing better for them. And they said that specifically they want time and space to collaborate with each other on problem solving and issue development. And so we are working at creating those spaces and those structures and those groups. So with that, I'll yield to questions if there are any.
All right, Councilman Ledford.
Madam Chair, no questions. We are running out of time this afternoon. But I did want to say, Perrin, thank you for the work you're doing in District 4. You have attended meetings with me with community members. You have engaged. You have followed up. We're upping the number of registered organizations, and I see some really good work happening in District 4. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right, that's it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you so much for your presentations. That was very long. You had more? You got more time?
No. I was just going to thank you all for allowing us to do that. We have some additional priorities that we will be engaged in. And if there's any questions that you have in any of our divisions, please feel free to pass those on to me and we'll get those responses to you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll move into Parks and Public Works.
I already told Scott to hurry it up. You better talk fast.
Welcome to Parks and Public Works Committee.
So moved.
We'll accept the agenda.
Being efficient.
Okay, all right. Madam Clerk, can we,
All right, shut it down.
okay, we're gonna go to first reading on transportation E, F, and G, please.
E, an ordinance closing and abandoning an unopened right of way in the service of law F, an ordinance closing and abandoning an unopened public right of way located in 3400 block of Old Avenue, as detailed in the attached map. 6G, an ordinance closing and abandoning an unopened right of way located in 400 block of West 35th Street, as detailed in the attached map.
Okay, H, please. J. Okay, J. J, please. Yes.
A resolution authorizing the City of Chattanooga to apply for and if awarded, accept a Blue Cross Healthy Places grant in the form of amenities for renovation of Sheila M. Jennings Park in the amount of $4,725,000.
K, please. See no hands. K, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement with Western Smith updating the plan set, bid book, and estimate for manufacturer's hand gateway, multi-module pathway to current TDOT standards for an increase of $8,000 for a revised contract total in the amount of $279,595.
We're going to take L and M together, please.
L, a resolution amending resolution number 31396 with professional services on-call blanket contract for architectural service contract number E22026-101 with Allen and Hawshall Inc., Architect Design Group Inc., Durfik, Henley and Wilkerson Architect P. LLC, Franklin Associates Architect Inc., Hefferland Kronberg Architects P. LLC, MBI Companies Inc., and Roderick Carroll Architects Inc. to increase the estimated amount of $2 million by $4.4 million for a revised estimated amount of $6.4 million due to additional contract utilization by the Ports Authority of the County of Hamilton and City of Chattanooga, Tennessee for the South Broad District Ballpark. And a resolution authorizing the appointment of Kurt Marty as Special Police Officer, unarmed, for the Department of Public Works, Land Development Office to do special duties prescribed herein as Landscape Inspector 1, subject to certain conditions.
Wastewater P, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for wastewater department to award contract number W19007201 wet weather storage phase 6, Dixon Pump Station number 1 to Clark Construction Group, Sterling, Virginia, for 5 million gallons of wet weather storage and new pumping station and associated conveyance piping improvements in the amount of $41,684,042 with a contingency in the amount of $4,168,404.20 for the total amount of $45,852,446.20.
Ordinance on first reading. B, please. 6B, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 21, Section 21-62, municipal liens for cost collection of liens.
7D, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number Y23003-201, Brown Acres Golf Cart Path paving to Kane Industries LLC of Chattanooga, Tennessee in the amount of $94,087.58 with contingency in the amount of $4,061.30 for a total amount of $98,148.08.
E, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the wastewater department to authorize change order number 2 for professional services provided by Jacobs Engineering Inc. for the MBWWTP Equalization Basin and Blower Replacement Improvement Project, contract number W16022-101 in the amount of $815,106.50.
Thanks a lot, Madam Clerk. At this time, we have the sexy part of this this committee. Scott's going to come up with parks and outdoors.
Oh, that marks it first.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you. I didn't mean it like that.
I hope my wife was watching, that's all I have to say about that. All right, in front of you is an item to, as they say, write the plan, then work the plan. And when you adopted the Parks and Outdoors plan, we got to work working the plan. So this is step 4. Let me just run through these briefly. First, you said focus on our existing parks and programs. You can read as well as I can up there, but we're moving ground, moving dirt, and moving progress on upfitting, upgrading, and fixing our existing parks and our existing urban infrastructure as well. Key item I'll call out that we'll spend time on next week and the weeks coming is the introduction of a new vision for Montague Park that will be unveiled to the public next week. Pretty exciting opportunity there. Next was to go ahead and work on city-owned properties and create an urban ecology system that is underway, thanks to the great help of our Public Works colleagues. Additionally, you probably read in the newspaper, Anna Mathis and Pete Stewart, our forester, brought $6 million in new funding from the federal government for urban forestry in our community this week. That's the single largest infusion of money, one-time money for forestry in the history of the city, and our credit goes to those two individuals as well. Next is be declared the first national park city in North America. Well, surprise, surprise, National Geographic and the National Park City folks agree with that vision and have accelerated us with Rotterdam, Glasgow, and Galway to accelerated progress and assigned us Adelaide as our peer, and that's on track as well. And the reason I'm here to talk to you today, you said create a Parks and Outdoors Advisory Commission. First question, why have it? Well, we got to have it if we want to be accredited, and this department and this city deserve an accredited Parks Department. That is a requirement. Why is it needed? Well, peer cities do this. It's a way to do a lot of good things I'll talk about in a second, but these are cities that also deploy advisory committees to strengthen you as the elected officials and give you a resource as you have to make policy decisions and decide where to spend your limited time, energy, and resources as well. So we're going to bring some bench strength to y'all. The commission goal has a couple goals in front of it. One is we want to increase resident engagement and empowerment. Good governance starts with good engagement. It's another tool for us to get more residents engaged in the park system that they love so dearly. Improve competitiveness. A lot of grants and applications we apply for ask, do we have an advisory committee advising you as city council? This will allow us to check that box, which will help us with funding. It'll give us more structured and focused time to embedded policy support. It'll give us time to breathe with residents and say, does this policy make sense? Does this fee make sense? Before we come to you for review and approval as well, and gives you a group of leaders in the community you can count on for their expertise, their time, and their commitment to help us make the best decisions for Chattanooga going forward. And we want to be very intentional here and link precise district level knowledge with broad city goals. That's why you see in the proposal, council member districts get a representation, and then we have 6 at large. So we're balancing both of those, the expertise in each district and then broad city goals as well. And then finally, this group has some immediate tasks we're going to get on them on because we're getting to work here. One is implementation of the POP. How do we turn that from words into actions? We're interested in verbs right now. The rec plan is next up. How do we develop a recreation plan that serves our community in a 21st century way? That's about to go out. Recreation patterns from 1950 don't work anymore. We need a new plan to take us forward. And as they say, skate to where the puck is going to be. This advisory board is going to help us do that. And then the Equity Accelerator Project that we are very excited and very privileged to be a part on with TPL. How do we take equity again and turn it into a verb, not only in terms of investments, but programming and activation as well? We're going to ask the advisory committee to lean into these and bring recommendations to you forward that turn these into action. The proposed composition is pretty straightforward and pretty standard, quite frankly, for most local governments. You have district representatives that will be made up by members you appoint. There'll be 6 members by the mayor for citywide. He won't be tied to a specific district. 3-year terms, we'll stagger them to start so we get a good rotation. They are advisory and capacity only, so they provide you with advice that we'll bring forward. Monthly meetings, 12 per year, and as I learned from a very good person, you keep those to 1.15 hours, and that way you keep people involved. So we're going to be very keen on making sure those are disciplined and focused so we get the best of those folks' time that are contributing it to us. And then it'll be staffed by us in administration, and my colleague, Mr. Noblet, will provide the legal support as well as needed, which probably isn't a lot. And major note, these are all public meetings as well. And we'll make sure they're probably moved around the community is my thinking as we get this thing started. So we can go and see the parks, see the centers, see the communities we serve as well. It gives us a lot of flexibility there. The next steps, next week, we're gonna ask you to take this up to create the Parks and Outdoors Advisory Commission. We're gonna ask if you're okay with it. I'd like to get it out today. I don't need a vote, but just a general nod to get the application process out and online so we can begin receiving interest. I anticipate, probably because I love parks, but I anticipate a lot of interest in this, so we want to be able to get that and then get it out to you as well, so you get those applications and have plenty of time to review the candidates that apply from your districts as well, and we want to stand you up and support you however we can to get really good candidates and make sure they're in front of you for your consideration. Aiming for the end of October to make those appointments because we're aiming towards the first organizing meeting for this commission to occur in November, and then we get to work, continuing the work of building a city and a park. That's what I had for you, Mr. Committee Chair.
As always, Scott, thank you, and man, you do a fabulous job. And I want to say thank you to everybody with Public Works too, guys. Keep up the good work. And at this time, we'll meet with Chip. Chip is on the board. Chip is on the board. Chip.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
They do.
I appreciate that. Scott, I got several questions. One, and the first one may be for the chief.
I didn't see it.
I noticed on next week's agenda, this is under the mayor's office. Why is it under the mayor's office and not under parks?
We could easily make that change. It doesn't necessarily need to be under the mayor's office, right, Chris? Yeah.
I mean, I was curious. I didn't know, is this kind of a directive that's coming from the mayor, or?
Well, the
or
parks,
Is this something Parks brought to the mayor, mayor said, okay, or?
well, it is a recommendation in the Parks and Outdoors Plan, and obviously the plan is coming from the administration. However, we are agnostic as to whether or not this lives under the mayor's office or under
Okay.
Parks and Outdoors.
Just curious. Scott, I guess, the POP was big, a lot of words, and it takes me a long time to read a lot of words. I did go through it. I guess that's one thing that I really didn't pick up, that we were to appoint a commission. And you used the word several times during your presentation, committee. Why is this a commission and not a committee?
Yeah, and I'm agnostic on terminology. In our general work as advisory commissions, I'm used to using the word commission rather than committee because it's an appointed body, advisory. I can't speak to Chattanooga's pattern. It's really separate from me. I thought committees were reserved for sub-bodies of city council, but again, like chief, agnostic on the exact terminology. Commission is just generally used in the parks industry, and it's a term we use a lot.
I guess, and the reason I bring this up, several years ago, public art was within the city department.
Mm-hmm.
We created an arts commission and moved it out from underneath the city.
Two things.
And I guess, is there any vision or thought of moving our parks out from under
No.
city department?
Not at this time, sir. No, sir. So it's like
Okay,
a planning
no.
commission
What
is
do you
another
mean?
example.
Okay. What do you mean, not at this time?
There has been no consideration of moving parks outside of the city of Chattanooga. Commission, again, is just a term that we use, like planning commission and other bodies.
Okay. To me, a commission is a little more significant than a committee. And I just, with us having created an arts commission and moving that out from underneath the purview really of this council, gave me a little bit of pause. So other than one member has to be 21 or younger, are there any other requirements, or what are we looking for in this board?
Yeah, and let me editorialize if I can. We're looking for voices that love and use their parks today, tomorrow, and forever. We're looking for our guests to be on here. That's the push I would make out to y'all is the folks who use the parks, use the system on a daily basis, so we hear from them.
Okay, so this is wide open
Yeah.
when we're considering who to
And we
appoint.
did call out a youth member intentionally. That's also a growing requirement in our industry to make sure, I read Councilmember Hill said it very well, make sure the folks who are going to enjoy the parks are at the table as well, which is our key.
So the requirement of once a month, I mean, that's pretty intense when you're talking about a committee this size getting together every month. And I noticed it talks about having a quorum for the transaction of any business. What business do you anticipate this body doing?
Oh, I'll give you an easy one. I would anticipate they recommend master plans once we get a master plan design to you for your consideration. Where I would come to you with a master plan for a park site, and I would say this has been endorsed by the Parks and Outdoors Commission.
Okay. They're also going to propose rules for control and programming. What does that look like?
That means we will take an idea to them, make up a policy or fee. They'll be the first step we vetted on, and then that would come forward to y'all, hopefully with their endorsement or if they refine it and get it in shape before we bring it to you.
What kind of control would you see them having, I guess, recommendations over?
No control, but advice and advisory capacity would be that. And the
Well, I'm
control,
just reading, I mean, that's just what's in the.
yeah, the control we exert as administrators is what's a rental fee for a field? What's our fee and use policy? What's our partnership policy when we let partners come in and use facilities? Just the standard stuff we bring to y'all.
Okay.
Yep.
And and you're also supposed to have a secretary that says it need not be a member. Is that a paid position then, or?
That'll be staff.
So some staff member?
The administrator, me, will be the staff. Yes, sir.
All right, let me see. And, well, so I guess because you're making recommendations, and I'm assuming that they'll also vote on these recommendations, that's where the staff member is going to be needed to bring that back to council for a recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it kind of feels like the 9 of us are going to sit back and just wait for the commission to bring us some recommendations rather than us, because, you know, and the reason I bring that up, I would say each one of us 9 could tell you what our district needs in terms of parks. Maintenance, new parks, whatever. And it almost feels like maybe there's a bypass here.
I probably don't read it. I've never thought of it in that way, but that may be the cities I've worked in. When I was in Boise, the advisory committee was a resource city council leaned on and said, we got some tough stuff here. Will you guys help us work on it? And council took its own direction as well, but it was a very collaborative relationship. It gave one more check, gave one more input for visitors and guests in the park system, Mr. Henderson. So it was really a strength multiplier in that case. And it was particularly a strength multiplier for the department to connect with the community and connect with the residents with another layer without overwhelming our city council that's dealing with the airport and the police and a ton of stuff. It gave them another piece of bench strength. So it's definitely a collaborative governance model.
I just want to make sure, I mean, I'm asking these questions to make sure that we're thinking about this.
Yeah.
And how, you know, how it affects our role as council, and then really what the role of this commission is at the same time.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Chair, that's all I have since you turned my light.
Thank you, Councilman. This concludes the session for you guys, but we're going to have a session with the attorney. Thank you.